So I'm sort of wired and tired at the same time. You guys ever get that way? And so I'm sipping on some tea and I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about, what it feels like going through the holidays and all of the energy and all of the things that we're doing and all the celebrations and, how that has an impact on us and how to move through and enjoy what this time is all about for you. Now, the thing is, I don't like to put boxes around anything, so when I'm talking about the highly sensitive empath, and the ambiverts and extroverts, it's really about using it as a guide, not so much about boxing yourself in. Hi, Venetia, Joe, Jody, John, Irma, Carmen. Hi, guys. Thanks for popping on. So if you guys know anything for yourselves about introvert, extrovert, highly sensitive, ambivert, I think that's how you spell it. I think in my head I call it ambivert. Type it in. Let me know what you know or what you feel. It's funny. I was actually thinking about it would be, and they probably already have it somewhere, but one of those like some kind of wire thing that can go around your neck, and I can just put the phone in front of me, almost like a GoPro, but like with my iPhone, and I could go live and just do whatever. I was, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know, just putz around the house and like talk about this stuff. When I had my house, I would sit in the kitchen, not sit in the kitchen, but I would be in the kitchen cooking, and I would talk to myself or pretend I was like doing a talk show in the kitchen. I had just come out of holistic health school in New York, and I was experimenting with a lot of different kinds of foods, and I would just be in the kitchen pretending like I had my own talk show. And look how far we've come already with technology in just a short amount of time. So the highly sensitive empath in the holidays, it really boils down to self-care and radical self-love. Because, and it goes to the saying of, if you're saying, make sure that if you're saying yes to someone, that you're not saying no to yourself. And we are going into this time where it's really busy and there's a lot of activity, and someone who's already sensitive can feel overstimulated by being around too much energy. And then the other piece of that is there's like the fear of missing out, or the feeling too different. And when we ignore those inner signals and we go and just be and show up where we're expected to show up, we end up doing, how do I want to say? It's like we take a hit, right? That our energy takes a hit, our mindset takes a hit. We have extra senses that kind of go haywire and wacko, and like before I knew, like I always thought of myself as an extrovert, and I still feel like I am in some senses. I can, show up and do a presentation in front of people. I can hold space in groups and can hold a conversation and, command a room. And then there are other times where I'm more of an introvert, where it's like I'm just wanting to sit and be with myself and my own energy and my own thoughts. And that's really an important period for me, and sensitives as well. But where sometimes I used to be afraid of speaking up for what I needed. And it's so important to be really clear and understand, what is it that I need? How am I, going to make sure that I am a priority moving through this holiday time. And when I didn't know that I was also an introvert and I was all extroverted, I would be pretty wiped out. When I started to understand that I'm also an introvert, and that needing downtime or alone time, there's nothing wrong with me, or I'm not going to miss out on anything, that it's actually imperative for me to sort of reset myself and ground in and connect. I actually, people ask all the time, well, how do you stay balanced? How do you not affect your energy field? How do you not get overwhelmed? How do you not, turn it off? And it's in these ways of understanding, okay, what is it that I need? What kind of alone time do I need? What kind of self-care do I need? And then this is where the radical self-love comes in, where it's, it is speaking up for yourself. It is taking care of yourself. It is, setting boundaries, leaving when you feel like you need to leave, or, saying no to someone. And what sometimes we're afraid of, being the sensitive, empathic ones, is to say no and worry about what, another person's going to be hurt. Their feelings are going to be hurt. But what happens is that when we don't speak up for ourselves, that's giving ourselves a message that, we're not taking care of ourselves. If we're not looking out for ourselves, then who is? So we got to speak up. And when we go forward and we go into these situations and do things that we don't want to be doing, then we get resentful. And because we didn't speak up and afraid of hurting someone else's feelings, now we're taking responsibility for their feelings, and then we're also being resentful. So we're holding all of these yucky feelings just because we didn't speak up and say, this is how I need to take care of myself. Because other people's feelings are their responsibility. And so that's the radical self-love piece. If you're here, say hi. Hey Jen. Hey Patty. So, and what happens is that when we are, we don't understand. So an ambivert, when I understood or learned or came across what that definition is, it's a combination of an introvert and an introvert and an extrovert. So, in times of needing alone time and times of wanting to be around a lot of people, giving out more energy, or retreating and receiving, or relaxing or resetting. So ambivert is a balance of that. And so going back to what I said is another way of understanding, okay, what are my needs and how do I need to have them met? Because, radical self-love, in the sense of, if we're not treating ourselves the way that we want to be treated, it's that's what we're giving the message out to the people around us, the people that are in our lives. This is how I treat me. So then, this is how you can treat me. And then we get angry that other people aren't treating us more kindly, when it really is about us treating ourselves. So a lot of times we're getting mad at somebody for not, sticking to a boundary, when we don't have boundaries for ourselves. So when we're around a lot of people and we're not taking care of ourselves, have you ever noticed that when you come out of it, or when you do finally get some alone time, that it takes you a long time to get out of the little loop, or the heavier energy or clear energy, or get back to your normal self? That's another way from not having your boundaries and taking care of yourself. We end up subconsciously taking on other people's stuff. And even around families, when we're going in, if we're not conscious going into the situation, we can be slipping into patterns and behaviors and subconscious or expected roles within family units, who really aren't who we are, how we're aligned. And so we go in, and then suddenly we're having these different behaviors, and sometimes it takes us a while to get ourselves back out of it. I think there was one other point that I wanted to share with that. Oh, so that's where self-care comes in. So maybe you leave a little bit earlier, or maybe you are making sure all of your needs are met before you go out. It's in these little ways, because you do want to spend time with people right now, but just don't throw yourself under the bus in order to have that time happen. And then the other thing was around how we can how the sensitives are affected around these times. I mean, there's a lot going around now. I mean, not everybody has the Brady Bunch family unit. There's a lot of loneliness. Sometimes, deaths are harder at this time of year. Not sometimes, I mean, death is always hard to, for the human experience at times. So there's a lot of emotions that are going on, and then there's also the spending, the consumerism, and then the feelings of lack that come in, and the not enoughness and the comparison, and like a lot of things could be happening out in the ethers and the collective consciousness. And highly sensitive empaths and such can, without knowing, like, start to tap into that energy and suddenly be depressed or feel heavy or just overwhelmed, or suddenly find themselves spending more money than they normally would, or or even like just, like I said, like falling into sadness and not even knowing why. So this is where it comes to, like, making sure your needs are always met, having your boundaries, so that part of you knows that you're always going to be taken care of. So if you're taking care of yourself in a practical way and on an energetic way and on an emotional way with, boundaries and alone time or whatever it is that you need, you can balance through these holidays. You follow what I'm saying here? It's in these little tiny ways that we're supporting ourselves, but it gives ourselves a bigger message that says, I'm taken care of. I'm not going to, abandon myself. I'm not going to betray myself. I'm not going to not care for myself. And that's really going to have an impact on your energy field, on your emotional health and well-being. And it's like so easy, all of the busyness, to kind of put self-care aside, or to put, to even put yourself aside and your needs aside. And it's just like the oxygen mask on the plane. You got to put on yourself first before you help somebody else. But with sensitive, it goes beyond. Just make sure you're taking care of yourselves and love yourself radically enough that if, you have to stand up for yourself and say, I'm not going to do this, or I can't leave, or I can't, whatever, then you do that and you take care of yourself. So radical self-love and radical self-care. And then, because, the energy that you're in now, the vibration that you're in now, is what creates your next. And it can be so easy through this busy time to kind of put aside the attention and focus on ourselves. And it's not selfish. Self-love, self-care is not selfish. You're going to be so much more better, because you're not going to be going to some event where you really don't want to go to, or you've gone because, you're going to the third one in a row, and you haven't taken care of yourself, because you're going to, you could show up, it's always a choice, but show up resentful and angry or whatever. And that's no fun either for anybody. So that's about all I have to say in regards to self-care. I mean, like I said, at the beginning of this, it's not about putting anybody in a box. It's about self-awareness and getting to know yourself, and understanding what your needs are, what your boundaries are, giving yourself the self-care, giving your boundaries. The point is that it's so easy to get wrapped up and tangled up in the energy and the consciousness and the expectations and the shoulds and the fears and the rules and the patterns in this time. And with some consciousness and with some support and with some intention and attention and energy management, we could be like sailing through and like really enjoying our time with friends and family and celebrations, and enjoying our indulgences and the human experiences on so many ways, and perhaps even creating some miracles. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. So, and you are too. I want to remind you. I know for myself that I have gone through some holidays and it's taken me a few days, after a 1-day holiday, taking a few days to come out of it. Like, so this is where, where, I mean, I've done this for myself, and I know the benefit of just making sure that I'm on my top of my list. All right. Because the world responds to us the way that we respond to ourselves. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or you want to share any of your self-care, self-love tips as a highly sensitive or an introvert, extrovert, ambivert, drop them in the comments.